Hi everybody and welcome to my Q&A today. I hope you're having a very happy VE day. I know it's a bank holiday, but I did want to jump on today because I've had so many questions from people, and I know that breakups and the pain and the upset that we go through doesn't stop when you're going through tough times just because it's bank holiday. So I wanted to jump on. I've been doing a bonfire this morning. I've been outside all day, so apologies for not looking as I normally would, but I did want to jump on and just offer you guys some support today because I know how tricky it can be, and sometimes when it's bank holidays or big celebration days, it can make it really hard to get your head around being on your own. And so sometimes on these sort of what I would call out of hours days and times, it can be super stressful. And when you can't reach out and you can't get that support from maybe your lawyer or your therapist or most coaches, I guess it's important for me that I can offer you this, because I know when I was going through my breakup, the hardest times were when you knew you couldn't get advice or help from anyone. Maybe in the evenings after 5:30. Maybe at the weekends, bank holidays, those sort of things. So I do run an out of hours service for my clients. I call it my paramedic for divorce service. And I do offer that support for people who are going through tough times outside of hours, because I just know that breakups and that hurt and pain you go through quite often are triggered outside of the normal working hours. Because if you're working and trying to deal with your breakup, and then you've got maybe a handover or pick up with the kids, or your ex is messaging in the evening, that's when it can really be the most upsetting. And because you can't reach out to those people that you need the support from, it can be even more overwhelming. So yeah, so that's why I wanted to jump on today and do this, because I know I had a few emails saying, are you going to be on today? Are you going to be on? And I'm here. Although I stink of bonfires today, because I've been doing loads of clearing out the garage and burning stuff, which has been great during lockdown, but it's left me with a big pile of stuff to burn. So I just want to go through some of your questions. Now, for those of you that are on here and watching, thanks for joining me live today. Please do put your questions on so I can make sure I answer your questions for you. Now, I know some people have been DMing me on Instagram, and apologies if I haven't responded earlier, but it's kind of tricky. I'm getting a lot of questions coming through at the moment. So I'm going to cover some of them today. Okay, so I'm going to read out some of them so I can actually give you specific answers for those of you that have messaged in. But if you do have any questions, do drop them in the DM as we're talking here in the chat, and I will answer them as we go. Okay, so hi Sarah, I've only just started following you. I'm Rosie Green. I'm finding the live sessions helpful. Great, this is from Nicola. I'm almost 10 months post breakup. My husband left me by text, refused to speak to me, met me to get his passport, and I've not heard from him again, despite my texts and emails. So, oh my gosh, that's really tricky when a husband leaves you by text. Wow. Aside from the hurt, the thing I'm struggling with is to be positive about myself. I hate myself given what's happened, and I blame myself for him leaving in the way he did. I wasn't perfect, nor was he. I would let things build up and then react. So we had 4 pretty big rows before he left, and now I just feel it was all my fault. Is this normal? Yeah, can be. I know there's a whole female guilt thing that we experience, and I've made the list to remind me that he could be foul and that he did some pretty awful things to me. And I do hold a grudge, but despite all that and the fact that my usual inclination reaction would be to be full of hate and want revenge, but not now, I'm just sad. Can you help? Yes, Nicola, I can. Thanks for sending in your question. Okay, so just to clarify, it is really normal to start thinking it's your fault. Okay, because as part of the denial stage, it's also part of the bargaining stage that we go through in the loss cycle, where you start to think, gosh, what can I do to change this? What can I do that can maybe hang on to things, get them back, get things back on track? Now, really interesting and difficult, because it is normal to feel that way. However, whilst in a relationship, usually the breakdown comes because there's been an ongoing breakdown of communication for probably quite a long time, okay, which has meant that the symptoms are sort of stacked up, if you like, and then something's triggered it. Now, obviously, you've had 4 massive rows before he left, and now you're feeling guilty about that. It takes 2 to argue, and it takes 2 to cause a problem, because ultimately, if you can't resolve that, which is what we were talking about yesterday a little bit, about the different styles of how you resolve conflict, And the fact is that leaving by text, well, I mean, that's pretty strong. Now, I don't know him and I don't know your situation in more detail. There might be that he thought, maybe potentially, that it was going to cause more problems if he faced you, or there'd be another row. But you said here you've made the list, so that's important. So the list that Nicola's talking about here are the lists where I say write down everything that wasn't great about your relationship, because it's really important that you get a balanced point of view, because your brain will naturally romanticize about the past relationship and focus on the good stuff, and not focus on the hard stuff, which means that it hurts more, obviously, because you're focusing on what you're missing out on rather than, thank God I've got away from this list of things. So that's why I always suggest writing your list, where you take off your rose tinted glasses and you really look like, you know, you only got yourself to trick here. So, you know, you've got to be strong. You've got to write down all the things that you didn't like about the relationship. And you said you've done that. But now you're just sad. Well, that's normal. You know, I'm glad you've gone through that hate and the revenge, because that's the second stage of the cycle. So you go through denial, then you get to anger, then you go to the bargaining stage. That sounds to me like you've gone through the anger stage now and you're just sad. So you've gone through the bargaining even, and that's when you hit the depression stage, which is a stage which you have to go through, by the way. You can't skip depression, you can't skip that sadness. Now, it doesn't need to be depression as in clinically depressed and never ever, you know, going to feel better, because this is a normal part of the grieving process, and you will get through it. Okay, you will, but you have to go through it, and you can't skip it or avoid it. Otherwise, it will just follow you around like this sort of black cloud, and it will rear its ugly head in other ways. So the sadness is okay, Nicola. It's part of the process. You've come a long way, so don't feel that. Don't feel bad about that. You've come a long way in the grieving process, and you're almost out the other side. And what I would say is that getting out of a toxic relationship is really important. Okay, now you will be sat thinking about, gosh, how do I feel here? I feel sad. You're going to feel sad because you're grieving the end of a relationship with someone who meant so much to you. So it's human nature to feel that way. However, the way to snap out of that is to start focusing on what you're going to do in the new phase of your life. Now, it doesn't mean that you can never go back, okay? Because I know that's, well, I don't know enough detail from this email, but it kind of sounds like you're hoping you might get back together. Maybe you might have forgiven him for some of the things he's done, and maybe there's a chance. So I'm not saying to cut that off completely. What I am saying is I want you to start dreaming about what the future would look like if it doesn't get back together, and start putting some paint on that canvas and looking at it in more detail. I want you to start thinking about who you want to become and where you want to go, because that is really important. So, because we get very myopic during a breakup and we want what we can't have a lot of the time. Again, human nature. So we're trying to get back to what we had, but actually, do you really want that? You know, and what could the future be like without that? And it's good to dip your toe in the water and start dreaming about that in a good way, not thinking about, oh, I'm going to be on my own and it's going to be tough. No. What do you want to have in your life? Who do you want to have? In an ideal scenario, who would come into your world? And how could you go about attracting them into your world? What kind of friends do you want to be with? Which specific friends do you want to be with? What do you want to do? Okay, so this is what I would say. It's normal to feel sad. So please don't worry about feeling sad. But actually, this is part of the grieving process. The way to pull yourself up is to go through to painting that future so that you've got something to work towards and you are excited about it, and it gives you a bit of a, okay? Right, I hope I've answered that. I know that we've done a lot of videos this week that probably have helped you. I know this came in a few days ago. Okay, Helen sent something in. Hi, Sarah. I wonder if you might be able to do a piece about separation and the feeling that you failed. It's a really good topic, actually, Helen, so thanks for the question. I follow Rosie Green too. Awesome. We love Rosie. I'd love to hear from both of you. I'm afraid she's not on here today, but do drop her a note on her Instagram. She's really responsive. And I'd love to hear from both of you as to how I try and change the mindset that I'm a failure and dealing with new titles of divorcee eventually. You know, I thought about it as a title. Single mum, yeah, and these feel so negative. Okay, thank you for your posts. They really help. Stay safe, Helen. Well, Helen, are you on here? I hope you are, because I'm going to answer the question now. Okay, so it's a really good question, asking about the sense that you failed. I don't know if any of you felt like that you felt like a failure. And I know when I got divorced, it was a while back now, but when my marriage broke down, I did feel like a bit of a failure. And actually, I had the sort of stereotype opinion of people before I got divorced that I would be a failure if I couldn't make my marriage work. Now, having been through it, I've realized that's so not the case. Sometimes you're not meant to be with somebody forever. We talk about reason, season, and a lifetime. People come into your life for a reason or a season or a lifetime. And I think that's really important to remember. And I know when we sign up to getting married, we say that it's forever. But ultimately, we can't control the future. I mean, look where we are right now. Nobody could have seen this coming. Nobody could have dreamed this was going to happen. And just by signing a piece of paper does not mean that that person's ever going to fall out of love with you, or you're not going to fall out of love with them. It's just a commitment, isn't it, that we sign up to. So in our heads, we say, well, I've signed that, therefore, if it doesn't happen, then I'm a failure. Well, no, maybe you've evolved separately. Maybe, I don't know anything about your story here, but, sometimes it's actually the best thing to get out of a toxic relationship. Or if you're in a relationship where that person doesn't love you or they've left, that's a really good thing, because that gives you a chance to go on and find love and to feel happy again, and not to feel rejected constantly. So, there's lots of different ways of looking about it. And one of the things I would do if you were my client, Helen, is I would be sitting with you talking about how to flip this. So flip it is one of the techniques that is in both of my books, Uncoupling and The Split. So if you haven't read them, please do, because it'll really help you. I think if you read Uncoupling first, that's got a bit of my story, my breakup story in there, which I think will help you, because there's some similarities from what you've said there as to how I was feeling. And it's very normal to feel like a failure, by the way. It's very normal. However, you are not. In fact, this is a really good chance for you to show yourself how you pick yourself back up and how you move forward again. Okay, so this is what I'd want to say. I love the way you've put the new titles of divorcee and single mum. Well, if I looked at it like I had a title now of divorcee or single mum, I guess that does have huge negative connotations, but I don't see it like that. I'm free. I have a life. So do you. So I have a future that I control. I get the chance to redesign. So do you. So it's about changing the messages you're programming, because remember, we program what's going on in here. So if you program and you choose to associate doom and gloom and negativity, and you've got to walk along with a title, God, I never even call myself a divorcee. I'm happily divorced, if anyone ever asked me. But that's about all I get. I certainly don't have a title. Being a single parent can be awesome. You get to have that quality one-on-one time with your kids. You get to set the parenting rules in your home. You get time on your own when the kids are with them. You get to be mum. You get to be yourself. You get to create a life again. There's so many great opportunities. So I don't see that as a negative, and that's how I believe. I truly believe, that of course being a single parent is going to be slightly more challenging with certain things than co-parenting, like living together with your spouse, of course. But actually, there's some benefits that you don't get. So I think you've got to think about it and talk to some of your married friends. I know some of my married friends, like, gosh, you get to go out in the evening. You don't have to worry about babysitters and things. When your child is with the other parent, you get a lot of freedom, which, don't underestimate. I know you think, oh, well, I didn't sign up to have that. But actually, it can be really good for you. It can be really healthy for you. You can go out and let your hair down. You can, can work on those nights maybe. You can socialise with friends you haven't seen for a long time. You can go out and party till 3 o'clock in the morning if you want, and you can come in late. You can stay up all night watching movies because you don't have to get up early in the morning to do the school run. There's so many positives. So please, we need to take control of what you feed your brain. Okay, if you feed your brain negative phrases, negative thoughts, you're going to get negative, disempowering thoughts. So what I'd like you to do is take that title, divorcee, and as you see it in your mind's eye, shrink it down really, really tiny. Okay, make it black and white, turn it upside down, make it super blurry, and then chuck it somewhere miles away, because you don't need that title. You can have a new title. You can call it something else. Free is one. Liberated, newly single. There's so many positives out there. Now you can get out there and meet someone that is going to make you feel good about yourself, and you can have so much fun with dating. So there's two ways of looking at this. Okay, there's the this is tough, it's going to be really hard. And I'm not saying there aren't any negatives or bumps in the road, because of course there are, but there's also some really positive ones. And I want you to try and identify those and think about those, because they are real. You know, there's lots of us, single parents, divorcees, who are having an awesome time and wouldn't go back for all the money in the world. They just wouldn't, because life now is so much better. But it's a conscious decision, and you have to take control, and you have to take action. It's not just going to happen to you. You've got to take control, start designing your future, write your breakup bucket list of all the things you can do now that you could never, ever, 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 ever have done before, you know? Okay, I hope that's helped, Helen. I think you're doing an awesome job. It's just one step at a time, but try to think about all the things you can have, all the exciting things in your future. I think that's really important. Definitely not a failure, because then all of us would be failures, and I'm not a failure. There's lots of things I haven't done particularly well at, but I'm not a failure. So be careful what you label yourself. Be careful of the words you use, because that will always reinforce your brain, okay? So maybe you could get a picture, I don't know, there's loads of it on Instagram, or like a upbeat mug or something like that with a little slogans on to have around the home. That I'm a rock star, or I'm awesome, or there's a really good one, I think I've got here. Just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a butterfly. Yeah, and this is going to happen to you, but you've got to take charge of it. Maybe you saw my video yesterday where I shared a lot about my story, where I was broken and at rock bottom. But watch it, though. I put a little snippet from yesterday up on my Instagram yesterday afternoon. So have a look at it. It was about my story and how I reinvented myself and how tough it was at times. But, you know, you can do it. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got... okay, I love your work. Heard about you through interview with Richard Brannan. Yeah, I did a great interview with Richard. I've done a few, actually. We did an event with Richard Brannan. Richard Brannan, for those of you who've been in toxic relationships, is brilliant to understand. Exes with personality disorders, difficult people, I call them. I'm not a neurologist or a niatrist. I don't really want to go into diagnosing people. Oh, I can't. That's not what I do. What I do is give you, as the partner of somebody that I call difficult, and there's a spectrum of difficult, slightly selfish to completely crazy. You know, I specialize in helping people, giving them the tools to practically cope with that, the emotional roller coaster and the practical challenges of managing your life, even after a breakup, because that's when they can be even more controlling with someone that's difficult. So, but Richard Brannan, for those of you who don't know him, please follow him on YouTube. He's absolutely awesome. He gives some incredible videos and is an expert in that field. Great guy, some really entertaining videos as well. It's quite funny. Okay, particularly I felt that I'd failed my children. Okay, that's a really interesting take on it. So failing your children, again, guys, you are the role model for your kids, okay? So whatever message you're putting out there is what they're absorbing. Now, obviously, older kids will already have their beliefs formed. Most children form their beliefs, well, children, it's said, form their beliefs between the ages of 0 and 7. All human beings do. Between the age of 0 and 7, we create our beliefs, our ideas about what we should be like and how the world is, okay? And then after the age of 7, what we're doing is not really forming new beliefs, but looking for evidence to back up our existing beliefs. So if your children are a bit older than 7, sometimes it can be harder to change their beliefs, but you have to do it by action. You have to do it by being a role model and showing them what is possible. You know, I've talked about this before, but it's super, super important. You know, if you think that your children think that you're a failure because your marriage broke down, you've got to take charge of that, because maybe you're acting like you're a failure. You know, and if that's coming from you, how about acting like, yeah, this was terrible. You didn't want it to happen. It's traumatic. You were super sad. In fact, you cried a lot. Maybe they saw some of that. Maybe they saw the wheels fall off a little bit. But then what did you do? Now, this is the important thing. What do they see you do? Do they see you go down and stay down? Or go down, feel sad, and then get back up again and go on and create your life even better than it was before? Because if you think about it, as a child, they're absorbing these life experiences, which is forming who they are, especially for teenagers who are going through, at the moment, this sort of mental health crisis of kids that think, gosh, if the wheels fall off in life, I just commit suicide. I mean, the increase in suicide in teenagers is sickening, and it's super scary. But what we need to do as parents is show them that sometimes the wheels fall off. Sometimes you don't get that fairy tale ending. Sometimes things don't work out the way you planned. You might have made those wedding vows. Maybe they didn't happen that way. Maybe it was your fault. Maybe it was your partner's fault. Maybe it was a joint fault. Who knows? But who cares? Ultimately, what is the message your child is learning from this? Are they learning that when things go bad, well, that's it, life's over, guys? Because if they are, watch out when they have their own problems, because they're not going to get into maybe the college they want. Maybe they're going to get dumped. They're going to have someone lie to them, let them down, betray them. This is going to happen to them. However much we want to wrap them in cotton wool and not let anything bad happen to them, it will. So what are they going to fall back on? They're going to fall back on what they know of the world, and what they know of the world is what they've been taught by probably mainly their role models in their life, which could be their parents. So what happens? Do you go down and stay down and say, well, because he left me, because she treated me badly, because she was very abusive and lied, it ruined my whole life? Or do you say, for someone to treat me that badly, they've got to be super unhappy? Because I'll tell you one thing, unkind people are not happy people. Okay, cruel people are not happy people. They're not. It's impossible. If you're happy, you're kind to people. You know, you want to give. That's part of being a kind person and a happy person. So you've got to take away from that, your kid is watching you. So instead of saying my kids think I'm a failure, we'll show them by action how to overcome adversity, so that when they go through it, they think, gosh, my life's over, I'm done. I saw mum do this. She just sat down and she put on weight and she moped around and she never found anyone else, and it was dad's fault because he left. What are you teaching them? You're teaching them that someone else controls your mental state, someone else controls your future, someone else has complete control over you, and if they decide to do something, or your relationship that you hoped would work out doesn't, that's it, you're damaged goods. That's utter rubbish, and you know it, and that's why I'm here today, and I wanted to show you that, come on, you can do this. You step up, you do more, you reach out, you show them how to rebuild your life. It's not about hiding the negative emotions, because kids are going to pick up that you're sad. And they're going to need to know it's okay to feel sad. You don't stuff it down or ignore it or drink your way through it. Although, you know, you might have phases of leaning on different things as you get yourself together. But what I'm saying is, show them by your actions how you overcome adversity. So this becomes a really valuable life lesson for your children, rather than a damaging life lesson where they think you just give up. Yeah, because you don't. And you don't need to, because this is phase one. The next phase is exciting. Now, I've got clients at the moment being divorced 2 or 3 times, and they know that there's life afterwards. They just get a little bit stuck. So for you, what is it that you can do to get back up on your feet and show your kids that actually you're the rock star, not a failure? Okay? You have to lead by example. It has to come from you. Okay. Is Uncoupling available as an audiobook? It's available as audio CD set. I don't know if it's actually available as an audio book, actually, but there is an audio version that you can get. You can order it on Amazon. Okay, let's have a look. Right, do you have any tips for dealing with friends who become nervous of you as a single woman? Men worried you'll give wives ideas to leave. Wives worried you'll take their husbands. Yeah, I have lots of tips on that. It's funny because it's nothing to do with you, okay? But you do have to be aware of this, because I had a client a couple of years ago. She went to a Christmas party at school, and it was her pretty much, she'd broken up a couple of months before, and it was a school parents sort of Christmas do, and she was really nervous about going, and so she sort of dressed up because it was a Christmas thing, and she went along nervous, and one of the dads chatted to her. Now, she knows the dad. I mean, they've been friends for years. The kids have grown up, you know, been to school for 4 or 5 years together. But the thing was, she was so relieved that someone was talking to her that she really lost perception of the situation. And she literally stuck herself to this guy and chatted and sort of monopolized him for a huge amount of time at the party, which made his wife very upset, because she came over a few times, and because this woman, no malice at all, but just really emotional, just so relieved someone was talking to her, was chitting away, and the guy couldn't really get away. He was a nice guy, didn't want to let her down, and he just got a bit cornered by her, I think. And that woman got very upset with her in the end, and it really ruined my client's confidence. She came to me after this, because she said, I can't go out anymore because people think this of me. When we went back through her behavior, she suddenly went, oh God, I wasn't really conscious. I was all dressed up. I was monopolizing his time. but I was just so grateful that someone wanted to talk to me. So I think you've really got to think about it from the point of view of, you have to be super aware. Okay, you have to be super aware that other people are going to find you potentially, not everybody, but some people might find you a bit of a threat because you're single, whether you're male or female, and you're going into an environment where their partners are there, and maybe their relationships aren't quite as glotty and happy as they seem on the outside. And when that's the case, you will find that sometimes people find that difficult. Now, it's not necessarily they think bad things of you. It's just that they're worried about the state of their own relationship. And they know that they're on that edge where their partner could go somewhere potentially, and they don't want that in front of them. So you are going to find that. But please understand that this is a normal part of it. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you're from. Some people will be threatened by their partners being around single people. Okay, so you've just got to be super aware of that and make sure that if you do go to an event, you're dressed appropriately. You know, you may not want to be the most dressed up person at every event you go to if you're the single person at those events. You might want to just make sure that if you are talking to a member of the opposite sex, you bring in their partner and you make sure that they feel comfortable. And if you can sense at all that they don't, then you walk away. Okay, and I'm sorry that we have to do that, but it's just, if you want to be kind and you don't want to get into those situations, it's important to just monitor. Okay, and just be aware, because you are going to have those things. If you just blunder in and go, well, you shouldn't think that of me, you know, people will, not rightly so, but they will jump to conclusions, or they might just be worried from their own point of view. It might be nothing to do with you. It might just be that they've had a big row and their husband's chatting to you and they find that like almost a way of getting back at them. It might be something that you don't even know about. So you just do have to be super careful, and especially if you're dealing with a lot of married people, you do. Yes, all mums avoid me as they think I want their husbands. Well, you are beautiful, Eve. I do know you're one of my coaches. So, yeah, that doesn't help if you're super stunning like you are. I'm having a hard day as it's my wife's birthday. I'm not allowed to contact her. Well, I'm glad you joined us because we're here and we need to celebrate other things. Okay, so it's so funny having my coaches on is brilliant because they join sometimes onto the call so they can hear my advice, so they can learn as well. And he's awesome, but you know, she's beautiful, stunning, blonde and slim and active, fit and very bubbly and lovely. And I can imagine that if you turn up at an event as a single person, that the husbands are going to be thinking, oh, okay, or mums are going to be slightly worried. So it's just, you have to be super careful, no matter what you look like, that you're not giving out the wrong impression, because you don't want to upset people in your desperation to connect with other people, to feel attractive, which is normal, to want to fit in, to chat to people, to have someone to talk to because you're on your own. It's really important, okay? It's really, really important that you just take it a bit easy, take a deep breath. And hi, Simon. Simon's awesome, by the way. Does anyone know Simon Hinton? If not, please follow him on Instagram. He's fantastic healer. Very, very brilliant. I've had a couple of sessions with him. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so I've got another question. Okay, I'm hoping for some advice from you because I need help with this relationship. So 4 years ago, I was friends with a girl who I didn't know secretly liked me. We hung around for a while until she understood I only saw her as a friend, so she moved on. Late February, I decided I liked her and asked her out as friends. It went really well, went on to be romantic. Then quarantine happened. Oh, funny times we're in, huh? And we continued to talk on the phone, and it pretty much was a relationship. But last Monday I cried because she wasn't giving me the attention she gave me at the beginning, and it was slowly fading, so I broke it off with her so we could stop. She said her feelings for me are over. I don't know, I'm just trying to paraphrase, but she's being really cold. How do I cope? Do I wait? Need some help. Look, you can't force people to be into you, unfortunately. You know, once you get out there on the dating apps, you're going to know. You're going to find someone on there that you think, oh, yeah, really nice, I like this person, start chatting, and then they disappear. This is life. But, you know, I think you've got to look at it as you had a lucky escape and you dodged a bullet, okay? You lucky escape and you dodge a bullet, because if that person isn't into you at the beginning, imagine 4 or 5 years down the line, they're not going to be into you. So better off you get out now and you know the truth. You know they're not into you. Try to force yourself onto somebody in a way of like, come on, look at me. Aren't I attractive? Aren't I amazing? just comes across as desperate. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, about how when you're in a relationship with someone and they're pulling away, and then you start going, oh no, I want this, and desperately trying to get their attention, it can even push them further away. So you've got to really think the strategy through here consciously about, what's the best way to appeal to this person? Have I ever had this experience with the same person before? And how did I get it to work out for me? Some of you are going through these cycles, and I know because I've got emails from you where you're together, then you break up, you're together, then you break up, you're together, then you break up, you're together, then you break up. Some of you want to be in that cycle, and some of you can't see a way out of that. You've got to look at what's working for you. And if you're constantly feeling rejected by somebody, or they're picking you up and dropping you, that's not a good thing. But ultimately, if it's you that's doing the pushing and pulling, you've got to really stop. Use this time in isolation now to work out what you want. Design your ideal partner. Everything that you want, easy to do. Easy. We all know what physically what you're attracted to. You might short, blonde, blue eyes, tall, dark, handsome, athletic, whatever it is for you, like travels or, in this kind of business. I don't know what your ideal is, but you will know, okay, what you want. However, it's not just about that, because the success in finding a partner is what you need. So do you need someone that can listen to you emotionally and support you? Do you need someone that's emotionally intelligent? Do you need someone that's kind? Do you need someone that's thoughtful? Do you need someone that's really got their own life going on, so they're quite independent, so you get time with your kids and they get time with their kids? Do you want someone who's got kids so they get that kind of co-parenting dynamic? Or does that not going to work for you? Do you want someone who smokes or doesn't smoke? Think about all the things that you need from a partner, because it's different than what you want. Needing is something that and you've learned from past relationships, that things don't work so well because the wheels fell off, because they never listened to you, or they weren't interested in hearing about your day, or maybe they were an avoider. So in that category where when there's any conflict, they just shut down. What is it for you that you need from a partner? It's very different to what you want. And I want you to make sure that you think about that and start designing your ideal partner on paper. Okay, just let yourself think about it, because this is your protection from dating again and getting hurt again and getting yourself into the same patterns. And even if you are dating someone, but it's on off, as I know quite a few of you are, do the ideal partner exercise. Don't think about your partner while you're doing it. Just think about, ideally, blue sky scenario. If you could have designed from scratch, what would they be like? So looks, obviously, but also maybe education, where they were educated might be important, or how much education they've got, what kind of career they've got, whether they're married in the past, whether they've got children. All these things are important, okay? All these different things. Put them on: hobbies, interests, political views, religious views, culture. What is important? Fitness, health. If you're a vegan, could you handle being with someone who eats meat? If you're super fit, would you want to be with someone that smokes or was a bit lazy? What is important for you? So put all those things down. Also values. If you're an adventurer, or you like your security, so you want someone who's going to be loyal and thoughtful, and honesty is important to you. Maybe you've been cheated on before. So honesty and loyalty are key. Someone who's passionate, someone that is okay with public displays of affection. What is it for you that you need as well as that you want? And put that down. And then you're allowed 5 must not haves. Okay, 5, no more than 5, but 5. So these are things that are absolute deal breakers for you, so that that if you get into a dating scenario with someone that, say for example, smoking was on there and they started smoking, you'd be out. Or maybe they've got kids and you just know you can't work with someone that's got kids. Or maybe it's someone that lies. If they lie, you're out, even a little lie. Maybe it's something like drugs. I don't know, but what is it for you? You're allowed 5 must not haves. Okay, 5, up to 5. So think carefully about this, because this is your safety net to enable you to go out and date again. But as soon as someone shows any of those traits, you pull yourself out, because that has not got a chance long-term of working. So can you see how that kind of protects you from getting your heart broken, and also stops you from making the same mistakes and running the same patterns, because you're consciously aware now of what doesn't work. And so you're taking action to protect yourself from that. Nadine says, when do you know that it's okay to start a new relationship? My husband left on New Year's Day 2018. I haven't felt like I've moved on yet. Well, the thing is, sometimes if you're in a place where you can't move on, It's because you haven't started dating. It's because you haven't looked over the fence to see what else is out there, and you're so focused on your ex and what they're doing in their life and your story and what's gone wrong and how sad it is. And I'm not diminishing how sad it is, because I know you haven't been there, how sad it is. But if you stay focused on that, you're missing out on the whole rest of the world. There's just one human being on the entire planet. Okay, and if you're putting all your energy on that and saying, I'm not ready, a lot of the time when people say to me they're not ready to date, it's because they're scared to get hurt again rather than they're not ready to date. They just don't want to go through all that pain and upset, and they're better off just putting the shutters down, not talking to anyone, than someone letting them down again. So I think there's work that you need to do on you. So if you're reading my books, obviously that'll take you through some of that process, or if you're a client of mine, we'll be doing that. And hopefully I'll be able to get some of my retreats going before the end of the year as well. I'd love to see some of you there, because it's literally 2 days of powering you through so many of these techniques. But actually, a lot of people, when they just dip their toe in the dating pool, I would suggest, because it's been a long time here, Nadine, I would suggest that today, yes, today, VE Day, why not celebrate? You sign up on a dating app. So whether it's Match or whether it's Bumble or something like that. Now, the aim is not for you to start dating, and you can't anywhere at the moment because we're in lockdown. So the beauty is, first of all, do the ideal partner exercise I just talked about, so that will help, and give you some sort of parameters, because then you'll start to feel more ready, because you'll know, well, if I get into a relationship and someone shows me any of those signs, which I'm really scared about meeting, I'll be out. And you're not going to get your heart broken, because you know, or you can choose, you know. And again, it's not about meeting Mr. Right or Miss Right. It's about meeting Mr. Right now or Miss Right now to help you on that journey of rebuilding your confidence, just having a bit of fun. So get on a dating site today, put a picture up, a friendly picture, nothing too risque, nothing too out there. Don't share too much personal information, but go on there and just put some information on. Put a couple of pics of you smiling, having a laugh, maybe doing some of the things you're interested in, showing some of your hobbies. So do that and just sit back and see what happens. Because you can do that from your sofa with no makeup on. You don't have to go anywhere, and you definitely don't need to talk to anyone, because these apps are designed so you can just have, if someone likes you, then you can have a bit of a chat with them if you match. You know, some of them won't match with you, some of them will. Some of them you'll want to match with and you won't, and a lot of them you'll match with and think, oh God, I don't want to talk to you. That's okay. But it's dipping your toe in the dating pool just to show you what's out there, just to get you thinking outside of your ex. Okay, because you may not be ready to jump into another relationship, but you're definitely ready to talk to another human being of the opposite sex, okay, or the same sex, whatever it is for you. So I just think that actually the more you stay stuck and not doing anything, then the more you tell yourself, I'm not ready. Now, actually what that is it's a pretty damn good excuse to your body gives you to prevent you from getting hurt in the future. But what I'm saying is, if you do the ideal partner exercise, and it is in my books, and for those of you that financially having a tough time, I've put my book, The Split, it's available as a Kindle version on Amazon for £1. So anyone can get hold of that now. I'm hoping you can just go on and order it and read it. But the ideal partner exercise is in there. So, and in uncoupling too. So if you are thinking that you want to get dating, do that. It's only a short exercise and it's fun. You know, it's fun, something you can sit in the garden and do. Write up the notes page on your phone, or get a piece of paper, write it down. And then when you've got that, jump onto an app, a dating app, and just have a look and see what's out there. So yeah, okay, I know there's some questions coming in about abuse and things like that. I haven't got time to cover those today. If you do have specific questions, do put them in the DMs and I will try and cover them tomorrow. Not tomorrow, it's the weekend, so on Monday. So have a good weekend. I hope this has helped. I hope that you're having a good VE day and that you are managing to have some time for you and just taking care of yourself, because self-care at a time like this is really important. So get on those dating apps and let me know how you get on, please. Do drop me a DM and tell me how it's all gone. All right, guys, have a lovely day. Mwah. Big hugs, and I will speak to you on Monday.